decisions on the numbers as opposed to on the politics. And this is a virus. You know, part of this is math, right? It's just numbers. It's like an equation. You can punch in to a computer the hospitalization rate, the infection rate, the testing rate, the antibody rate, and say what will happen if I increase activity 15%. And it will tell you the infections are going to go here, and the hospitalization is going to go here, and the death rate is going to go here. There is a science to this. Now, the science is contrary to emotions and politics. I get that. I get it all day long. You know, everyone's yelling at me, we have to reopen, I have to get back to work, I need a paycheck. I get it. I hear it, I see it. I read the posters, they yell it at me, I hear it. But I know because we've seen it around the globe, you can pull up the countries that reopened because they had political pressure and then saw that infection rate go right through the roof, and then they did a 180-degree turnaround 2 weeks later, whoops, we made a mistake. I don't want to do a whoops, we made a mistake, and I don't want to have hundreds of more people go into the hospitals because of a whoops. I don't want to have hundreds of more people possibly die because it was a whoops, because I responded to politics. So, yeah, my advice to the people of this state, from day one, here are the facts. I'm giving you the facts. Why? Because really they make the determination. I'm not in a position to enforce any of these rules. I can't make anyone wear a mask. If 19 million people say I'm not going to wear a mask, what am I going to do? If 19 million people said I'm not staying home, what could I really do? You know, what could government do? But I lay out the facts, and New Yorkers have understood the facts. They don't like them. There's nothing cheery about some of those facts. But lay out the facts, and they've acted responsibly. And we get to May 15th. I'll lay out the numbers. Here are the numbers. And this is what the numbers say.
Governor, the April unemployment numbers came out today. 20.5 million jobs were lost. What is your message to out-of-work New Yorkers? And other than unemployment benefits, how can they find their footing?
Look, there is no doubt that this is a horrendous period to live through. And the greatest problem for most people, besides the social issues, et cetera, and the isolation and the emotion that goes with that, and the emotional trauma that goes with that, by the way, which is a problem unto itself, the economics are devastating. I'm not working. I live paycheck to paycheck. It's been over a month. For some people, 6 weeks, 2 months. I haven't gotten a paycheck. I don't know if my job is still there. And the bills keep coming, right? Nobody put the bills on pause. You know, those people are still, everybody's still sending a bill. So that's a tremendous pressure on people. And then the unemployment rate, 20%. Some people say that number's underestimated. It's really closer to 25%, which is just, I mean, just imagine that. Largest, greatest since the Great Depression. So there is no doubt that this is a terrible period, but we have to get through it, right? That was Winston Churchill. When you're going through hell, keep going. You have to get through it. If we make a mistake and we react too quickly, the situation is only going to get worse and only going to get longer. I understand unemployment benefits are problematic and they're not enough in the first place. I understand the speculation about whether or not my job is going to be there is terrible. We have taken some extraordinary measures to help people deal with the situation. The no evictions, I think, is a significant point. Nobody can be evicted from their home. We're providing food assistance in a number of different ways. But we have to get through it. We have to get through it. And then, not to get philosophical, but, you know, my grandfather used to say, he was right. If you have your health, you can figure out anything else, right? And if you don't have your health, then nothing else matters. And we've all lived through that, where we have all these issues, all these problems, and then somebody comes home and says, I went to the doctor's office and they said, I have to go for another test, I may have this, right? And somebody says they have a terrible health problem and everything else becomes unimportant, immediately. We have people who are dying. We have people who are dying. We make the wrong moves, more people could die. And it could be someone in your family, or it could be you. And even if it's not you, God forbid you get sick and you bring the virus home and someone who's more vulnerable dies. That is the problem that we can't solve. That is the problem that I cannot help with. And that is the problem that thousands of nurses and doctors and police officers have been killing themselves for weeks to avoid. So let's respect all we have done. I know it's hard. Let's get through it. Let's proceed intelligently and get this thing over as soon as possible without any further loss of life. And then we will figure out the economics. It's not going to be easy, but it's true. If you're alive and you have your health, we'll figure out anything else. And if we lose people, that's the one thing that we can't fix.
Governor, what's the plan to get those benefits out to people? Because a lot of people have been waiting. I mean, we're coming on almost 8 weeks. So what's the plan going forward? And also, why does the state need a person-to-person certification system? Because a lot of people are getting either hung up on or unable, they're not receiving calls. So again, what is that plan to get those benefits out?
I'll ask Melissa to give you the update. But remember the context here. This is not a New York problem. This is every state in the country. The number of unemployment, 20%. It was like 2.8%. So a month ago, you had 2.8% of the people asking for unemployment benefits. Now we have 20% of the population asking for unemployment benefits. That takes a system that was designed to handle hundreds of applications. It now handles thousands of applications. It's overwhelmed every state system, period. And we have, our response rate is far better than most states, even though our population is far greater. But the certification and the details, I'll ask Melissa, because
On certifying, you actually don't need to do person-to-person. It doesn't have to be over